folks, today I'm here to talk about my Victober TBR. Now, Victober is a reading event hosted by Kate, Katie, Ange and Lucy over at BookTube. They have also created a Goodreads group, and the main goal is simply to read Victorian read during the month of October. I will link everything below. Now, Anne's challenge is to read a book by one of the host's favorite Victorian author, and I've chosen Elizabeth Gaskell, whom is Kate's favorite author, if I'm not wrong, and I will be reading Lois the Witch, which was published in, let me check, 1861, and Katie made a review video about this book and last Victober, I guess, and I got curious about it. It involves an orphan going to live with her uncle in a town where there is a witch hunt going on, and then this protagonist is suddenly haunted by an old woman's curse. So yeah, I'm highly curious about this. Kate's challenge, which is to read a Victorian book with a proper noun in the title, and I've chosen a book by a Welsh author, Jill by Amy Dillwyn, which was published in 1884, and I saw that Sean, the book maniac, is also planning to read this book, and I'm very interested in reading it because it is about a lesbian love story. So yeah, this will be my read, and it is published by Hono Press. Another book I am also planning to read for this challenge is the Beth book by Sarah Grant, and this is a book about the new woman, a woman seeking independence and professional independence. So yeah, I'm highly interested, curious about this book, and it was published in 1897. Now, this book also fits the next challenge because this author, Sarah Grant, is the pen name of Frances Elizabeth Bellenden Clarke. This challenge, as I've already anticipated, is to read a Victorian book written by a woman anonymously or under a pseudonym. So I will read Sarah Grant and also Moths by Ouida, which was published in 1880, and the real name of the author is Maria Louise Ramé. And this is a novel that deals with Victorian taboos like divorce, adultery, and domestic violence. So yeah, I'm highly curious about. Also, for this challenge, I have a short story collection by Vernon, which is the pen name of Violet Paget. This collection was published posthumously in 1962. Katie's challenge is to read a book from the first 10 years and or the last 10 years of the Victorian period. I'll try to do both. And for the first 10 years, I have Zoe by Geraldine Jewsbury, which was published in 1845. And I know that Katie and Kate are doing a read-along of this book, so that shall be fun. For the last 10 years of the Victorian era, I have read Pottage by Mary Cholmondeley, which is a reread for me. It is the story of two friends, very different friends. One is practical, the other is creative, is a writer. The one is poor, the other is rich. So it's a very fun, satirical book, and I remember I read it 3 years ago and I loved it, so I want to reread it this year. There will also be a read-along of Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. So I have this edition here, which has some explanatory notes, chronology and bibliography. And finally, the general challenge is to read a Victorian book and watch a screen adaptation of it. Now, I'm not big on screen adaptations. They usually depress me, so I avoid watching them. But I've heard there is TV adaptation of Wives and Daughters by BBC, so I will try to watch it, but I don't promise anything. So this challenge I might not be doing, actually. So this is my TBR for now, but you know me, I'm not very good at sticking with TBRs, so I have here a pile of Victorian books that I have not read yet, and if I get bored with my fixed TBR list, I can then change for different books. So I will show you the books here quickly. I have another book by Vernon, which is also a collection of short story, Hauntings, published by Broadview. I have a book by an Irish author. I very much like Irish literature, so I can read that. And it is Charlotte Riddell, A Struggle for Fame, published by Trump Press. So yeah, it's a possibility. I have a Welsh author who published under a pseudonym, so that also fulfills Lucy's challenge. And this is Alan Rain, a Welsh witch. I very much like this title. And the real name of the author is Ain Adeliza Puddicombe. Yeah, great, funny name. This is published by Hono Press, and they have a collection on Welsh writers. Or by one of Charlotte Brontës' best friends, if not the best friend, Mary Taylor. This is her only novel, and it deals with a friendship between two women, Miss Miles. So yeah, that could also be a possibility. Then I have Marcella by Mrs. Humphrey Ward. I think Ange talked about this book, if I'm not mistaken. I have Emily Eden. This book was mentioned in a podcast, Tea or Books podcast, which is run by Rachel and Simon. I will link everything below. And when they talked about this book, I was so curious I had to pick it up, so I might read it this October, I don't know. I have another book by Margaret Oliphant Hester. We read Miss Marjoribanks last Victober, and I will link my review of Miss Marjoribanks. It was a book I loved, so I want to read more by her. I have Amy Levy, The Romance of a Shop, which is also a book by Broadview. Two books by Rhoda Broughton. This was mentioned by Katie, Come Up as a Flower, and Belinda. A book by Alan Rain, Queen of the Rushes, also Hona Press. And I have two non-fiction books, one biography of the Brontës and one of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Finally, I have a short story collection, the Virago book of Victorian ghost stories. And they have in this collection some authors I know, some I don't know. They have short stories by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, Charlotte Bronte, Rhoda Broughton, Willa Cather, Amelia Edwards, Elizabeth Gaskell, Violet Hunt, Vernon Lee, Margaret Oliphant, and Miss Henry Wood. So yeah, I could be dipping in and out of this short story throughout. Finally, I would like to give you a book recommendation, a children's book recommendation, and a Persephone book. This is The Runaway by Elizabeth Anna Hart. I have reviewed this book, this is the end paper, on my blog, so I will link below. I think this is a very fun and unconventional children's book, and very short, so if you're looking for Victorian children's books, I highly recommend this one. So yeah, those are the books I'll be reading in October. Tell me if you've already read them, if you recommend me other books, especially lesser known Victorian women authors. Do recommend me. Also film or TV adaptations, because I have no idea what to watch, if it's good. I don't know. If you have any recommendations, please give them in the comments below. Are you taking part in Victober? I highly recommend that you do so. So yeah, that's all. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.